Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Thank you all very much for tuning in. And today we have another new one for you guys. This one is actually from the house of Burberry, and it's their newest masculine release, and it goes by the name Mr. Burberry. So here's the bottle. This one was released just this year in 2016. The perfumer behind this composition is Francis Kurkdjian. Francis Kurkdjian is an excellent perfumer. He has a really good resume. He actually happens to be one of my favorites. He actually did the women's version called My Burberry, which was released 2 years prior in 2014. He's also done a lot of other iconic scents. Of course, my favorite, Dior's Eau Noire. He's also done Le Male by Jean Paul Gaultier and many, many others. Too many to name. He even has his own house. Now this one is classified as a woody aromatic, and it's inspired by a few different things. So it's inspired by their clothing collection, which is in regard to a lot of the things that they did in the presentation. It's also inspired by traditional British perfumery, and that's supposed to come through with the notes. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the presentation for this fragrance. So here's the box for Mr. Burberry. The name of the fragrance up here, size and concentration at the bottom. You have your UPC at the very bottom with the serial number printed right on the box. Some more information on the back like the ingredients, nothing at the side, Burberry written at the top. Now taking a look at the bottle, I think it's a really classy bottle. This is actually made from their gabardine material, which they use for their trench coats, and the cap is supposed to look like the buttons on their trench coats. Now, same information at the bottom here on a sticker, nothing going on at the back. Really nice presentation. I know some people don't like it. I actually think it's kind of cool. The cap does click into place, so you can pick this one up from the cap. The distribution is a little bit narrow though, so I would recommend to spray at a distance. But that was a presentation of Mr. Burberry by Burberry. One of my subscribers, Rich, writes, "Great scent and classy bottle. A welcome new addition from Burberry." Lavi thinks the bottle looks tacky, and Ignacio writes, "It looks classy." So to start things off, I want to mention one of the comparisons that gets made online, and that is that this fragrance smells a lot like Bleu de Chanel. And I have to say that this is like Burberry's version of Bleu de Chanel, kind of like what we saw with Sauvage from Dior. And I definitely think that this is a closer smell to Bleu de Chanel than Sauvage is to Bleu de Chanel. However, I don't think I like this one as much as Bleu de Chanel. Now, when we look at the note breakdown, we see a lot of similar notes. Like we know the note of grapefruit is in this one. And it does sort of give this fragrance like this citrusy overtone with this sort of bitter sour appeal. Not so bitter and sour that it will turn you off or that it's going to be cloying or off-putting. I actually think it's a nice contribution to the smell. And as it pertains to the classification, this is a woody aromatic, and you are going to get a lot of woodsy elements in the dry down. However, they sort of bleed and mesh into one another, so I don't think they're necessarily discernible from one another. But touching upon that aromatic classification, there are some listed herbs in this one. I know tarragon is listed as a note in this one, and it does sort of have this green appeal, and it says that birch leaf is a note in this one too. And the crazy thing is some people have made comparisons with Aventus. Definitely not. Aventus contains birch tar, which has a smoky characteristic. This one has more of like a green and leafy characteristic, and overall it contributes to this smooth and rounded out fragrance. Overall, I do think it smells a little bit similar to Bleu de Chanel. It doesn't have that characteristic incense accord, or note rather, that Bleu de Chanel contains. This one is more like a woodsy, green, herbal, smooth, versatile scent. I think it has a lot of really great things going for it, but at the same time, the smell is a little bit too familiar. And I think I would prefer to wear Bleu de Chanel over this one, but I also think I would prefer to wear Sauvage over Bleu de Chanel, excuse me. So when you look at that lineup, this one actually ranks third. But nonetheless, this is an incredibly versatile scent. I would even go as far as saying this is one of the most versatile fragrances in my entire collection. And it does have this mass-marketed appeal about it that I think a lot of people are going to love. Unfortunately, I wish one of the notes were a little bit more defined. Like maybe the guaiac wood note, I wish that would stand out a little bit more. Maybe the tarragon note, something to make the scent stand out from all the rest. But at the end of the day, it does have a familiar appeal to it. And I think in one way, it does showcase Francis Kurkdjian's versatility as a perfumer, to show that he can go from doing something like Eau Noir to doing something like this scent to Le Male and Ultramale. But at the end of the day, it's too much of a familiar scent. And in the dry down, I got bored by it. But I do feel great when I wear it. And I can certainly see this one getting compliments. To conclude, my wife absolutely loved this scent. If you would like to see the video that we did together, I'm going to leave a link down below. But with that being said, let's finish things off by taking a look at my personal rating. First up, I took a look at the uniqueness and the overall smell, and while the overall smell is very pleasant to the nose and I think would garner a lot of compliments, unfortunately, I don't think this fragrance is that unique. But with that being said, I think you will have a lot of luck wearing this fragrance in public, and my wife absolutely loves this fragrance as well. Taking a look at the longevity, I think it's decent. It gets me 6 to 8 hours on my skin, which is fine considering the fact that it's eau de toilette concentration. And projection on this one, it does radiate off the skin, not beyond an arm's length, for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then it starts to sit closer to the skin, not fully becoming a skin scent up until about the 4th or 5th hour to application. Then you have to get really close to your skin in order to be able to smell it. Versatility on this one is excellent. This is actually one of the most versatile fragrances in my entire collection. I can see anybody of any age wearing this, someone who's a teenager all the way up to somebody in their 50s or 60s, or perhaps even their 70s. I do think this is unisex. This can be worn in all seasons and all occasions. And lastly, we have the presentation. I know there are polar opposing views online, but I think that the presentation on this one is actually nice. Really nice attention to detail. I like everything about it. I think it's an excellent presentation. But if I were to give this fragrance an overall score, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Now, of course, I love Dior Sauvage, and I think that that fragrance, with the amount of compliments that it gets me and the way that it makes me feel in its bright, crisp, ambroxan, effervescent, citrusy feel, I think that's a fantastic scent. This one, I think, sort of follows the success of Bleu de Chanel, and like I said, I kind of wish that it had some defining characteristic that allowed it to stand out from the rest, with its notes of cardamom and birch leaf and tarragon and grapefruit and woods. I kind of wish that maybe one of those notes were just a little bit more augmented, making this one stand out, making this one smell unique, and then I think that could have potentially earned it a slightly higher score. But it's a very pleasant smelling fragrance with some of the highest versatility that I've ever smelled in a fragrance before. So there you have it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was my review of Mr. Burberry by Burberry. If you own or have tried this scent, please let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to rate and subscribe for future videos, top 10s, frequent giveaways, unboxings, fragrance reviews, and a lot of other fragrance-related content. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone.